Welcome here to a very special wake up call with Dan Tortora Spotlight with Darius Kelly. Darius Kelly, a good friend of mine, first and foremost, also a Syracuse Orange Defensive Back alum, and the head football coach of Saguaro High School out in Arizona, in his home state of Arizona. So, with that being said, Mr. Kelly, how we doing?
Doing great, Dan. How are you? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, and so happy to talk with you as always. I know that we spoke when you got the job at Saguaro. So, what's life been like now that you've spent time within this head coach? I know that you've worked with safeties, you've had different things you've done in your coaching career, but to be the head coach of this program now that you've had some time with it, just what you can say about being the leader at Saguaro.
Man, it's definitely been a journey, that's for sure. Just learning the ins and outs of, for one, this community. I mean, I've been around the community. I've coached here. This is my second year in the community, but just, on this side of it, wearing this hat, it's just been great getting to know everybody and just how many great people are in this community and just support the program and support the cause, what we're doing here to just grow these young men both on and off the field. So it's been great.
And just bring me into the this season here in 2024 and just what your takeaways have been from working with the team this season.
No, it's been definitely been a season of growth. For me and for our team. We have a really, really young team. We played a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores at the varsity 6A level here in Arizona. So it's been a lot of growth, a lot of learning lessons. But definitely coming out of it is just, it's just keep the head down and grind. That's just been my mentality since I was a young boy, and just instilling that in these young men. It's just grind and go after what you want, and it takes work to do it. So nothing has changed, even on this side, as far as the work ethic and what it takes to be great. So just instilling that in these young men.
You talk about playing a bunch of freshmen, and in that world, as you know, as a former player, that initially it can be moments of adversity, right? You're playing young
Yep.
players, they're getting used to it, they're getting used to the level that they're playing at, different things are being expected of them and whatnot. And you go through the adversity in the now because the experience from this adversity is going to take those freshmen and help them be better next year, the next year after that, the next year after that, and so on and so forth, hopefully collegiately and so on. So, just to speak to that effect of when you play young players on your team, it is a growing pain process, but that growing pain
hmm
process, if they handle it well and you and your staff handle it well, is going to pay off dividends in the future.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt, right? And it's just really like, that little brother mentality, right? You're just getting beat up in the backyard for, a couple of months, couple of weeks, couple of years, and then finally, you start getting those calluses, you start to get tough, and now you're the big brother on the big dog on the block. So that's really what, the mentality that we're trying to instill with these guys is just that. Right now we're going to take our lumps, but you're going to be better for it. So you're going to go through adversity, but it's really what you do after that adversity, and you take it and you learn from it and you grow from it, and you go back out there and you do what you have to do. So, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. It's that part right there alone. It's just making sure these guys understand. Yeah, you might have get me right now, but I'm telling you right now, you're only making me stronger, and you're only going to make me come back a lot harder here in the next couple of weeks and couple of years. So, we're excited for the future, that's for sure.
And when we look at Saguaro and go back to the 14 time Arizona State champions, 1995, 2006, 7, 8, 2010, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, and 23. Just, overseeing this program as the head football coach for Saguaro, knowing that this isn't a, hey, we know what it takes to win a state championship. It's, we know what it takes to win multiple state championships and so many in the 21st century. So, just what it means to
hmm
you to be the leader of this program, knowing the caliber of this program, not just where they are within the games that you play in the regular season or within the games that you're going to play, within your group of 6A and whatnot, but the fact that you're going to go to Arizona State, represent the entire state in the history of this program, and win 14 championships. Just what that means to you to oversee that.
Man, it means a lot. I mean, I hold that responsibility very, very, very close to my heart, and I take a hold of it every single day. I don't take any moment for granted. And you talk about the longevity of this program. It has a lot to do with, not just the kids that have come through here, not just the coaches that have come through here. I mean, it has a lot to do with the entire community, the entire administrative staff, every trainer, every ATA, athletic trainer, I mean, you name it. It takes a whole village for a community to last, to have that such long longevity to compete at a very, very high level. And again, me having to oversee all that. Like I said, man, I take that responsibility deeply, and I hold it very close to my heart in everything that I do. And I don't take it for granted. And I come to work every single day, and I hold that responsibility at a high, high level. And I hold make sure I got to uphold the standard because the standard has already been set, and it's championship caliber, and that's the bottom line. And it's up to me to make sure everyone else is held to that standard, and making sure we're doing all those things to make sure we continue to do that.
Darius Kelly here with me this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You speak on the standard, that championship standard already being set. You, as the head coach, have brought what to this team? If we know what the standard is, what have you brought in personally to this program?
Yeah, man. I mean, I talk about this all the time, man, and it's crazy that you guys have the dart. We have the dart over at Syracuse, and what I talk about in our program is the target. And what the target is for us, man, is having that toughness, and that's mentally, physically, and emotional toughness. And that A in there is accountability. The R is in there is just having a relentless attitude every single day, and the G we talk about is growth, having a growth mentality. Okay, give me more, coach. What more can I do to be better? Right. The E in there we talked about is the quality piece, making sure we're having that team family environment throughout our entire community and locker room. And the T in there is trust. We talk about that every single day. Without those things in our program and making sure we have that trust throughout that entire program, nothing can be built. And, we can't win games. We can't even call plays, and the kids won't even go play if we don't have that trust factor in there. So we talk about that every day in our program. It's making sure our eyes are on the target and we come through the doors and we're aiming for it every single day, man. So, I bring that type of mentality, and I come in with the energy, man. I'm in there. I run around with these guys just as much as they do every single day. I got to make sure they try to keep up with me some days and just bring that energy and effort every day to the program, man. And it's exciting. It's a challenge, but it's just so exciting every day to just see how these men just grow and get better, mentally and physically. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, you talk about you use Target, and that is an acronym, and that Fran Brown uses DART, detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. But you hold within Target so many of those pieces. So, just what you could
Hmm.
say about the irony that the new Syracuse head football coach and you being a Syracuse alum have
Yeah.
very similar viewpoints on how you lead a team.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, there is no magic formula to being great, and people try to reinvent what it actually means to do great things in life and football and what all those things are, and it's only a certain amount of things that you really, really need to stick to being great and having a great program and having a great mentality, a great culture inside that environment. And it really does just start with the environment and those things that we talk about in those acronyms are those things right there. They may seem very, very small, but in the grand scheme of things, those are huge, huge things that make up a great program and a great culture, a great environment and throughout the program.
Yeah, and to keep with the similarities between you and Coach Brown over at Syracuse, what can you say to the efforts that Fran Brown has done coming from Georgia and those Bulldogs, winning back to back national championships as a member of that staff, working with defensive backs, and you being a
Hmm.
former defensive back? This is the first time he's ever been a head coach, and here he is at Syracuse with a winning season no matter what. Just what you in his first season as a head coach and first season at Syracuse, what would you say to the work that Fran Brown has done with your alma mater?
Man, it's been amazing. I try not to miss any game, no matter if I'm even in a film study session, and I try to keep up as much as I can. And it's just been amazing to watch. I mean, I love his energy. I love the way he's got those guys are flying around, both offensively, defensively, and special teams, man. And it's just been and amazing to see. And just the way he embraces his team, embraces and coaches, and the way he holds them to a standard at a public level, and not just in a way where it's behind the scenes. No, you can tell when he keeps it real with those guys, and they respond in a very, very high level, and coaches included. He brings up something he doesn't like, and in the next week we see the improvements that's happening. He bring up something that he does like, and we see that being shined in a bright light, and it's just amazing to see, man. I'm so happy to see Syracuse where we're at right now, where it's going to be. Because of what the energy and all the things that he's brought to the program, man, it makes me excited to see every day. I wish I could get to every game and just be there in the stands or on the sidelines cheering, but watching from afar, man, it's been awesome.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you talk about the excitement around it that you try to catch every game, even if you're in a film study, you want to make sure that you're staying with it. I mean, that hasn't always been the case for alumni saying, I watch every game, I pay attention to every game. I mean, you sound really genuinely excited. Why?
Man, I put my heart and soul into that program in my years I was there, and I know those guys that are there now are doing the exact same thing. So I know the things that they're going through. I know how hard they work. I know the early mornings. I know the late nights, and it's great to see the efforts. Is coming to fruition when you put into something, how it works, how it grows, how it just flourishes. So it just excites me to see because I know how much hard work goes into winning football games and being great. And when you hit the right formula, man, it's just makes you feel amazing. So I just know that feeling that they have right now, and I'm just excited to see it, man. And it's home, man. It's my alma mater. Yeah, I love it.
Under Dino Babers, he brought in Tony White and changed the defense to a 4-2-5. And when
Hmm.
he did that, to put, or pardon me, a 3-3-5, not a 4-2-5. So a 3-3-5. When he changed it to the 3-3-5, he put emphasis on the DBs.
Yeah.
Then Fran Brown comes in and he brings in Elijah Robinson from Texas A&M, and Elijah goes, "Yeah, let's keep on going with the 3-3-5. Sometimes we'll do a 4-2-5, but no matter what, we're going to put 5 in the back." You're a former defensive back. You've coached defensive
Hmm.
backs. So what does it
Hmm.
mean to you that your alma mater under two different coaches now has put the emphasis on the back line and the DBs?
It's amazing, man. I think we've had a couple of DBs that are still playing in the league right now in the past couple of years that, have been doing what they're supposed to be doing at that level, man. And it just shows, that position, they try to, limit it a little bit more, and give us a lot more struggles with these offenses running all the RPOs, changing that. And it hasn't been able to, can't touch receivers anymore, can't do those things. But now, seeing that defensive back is really an emphasis at my alma mater, and it always pretty much has been as far as safeties goes. But man, having a guy who's coached it at a high level, having a guy who's really really focused on defensive back, in program, really, makes me excited because that's what I know. That's what I know. That's what I eat, sleep, and look at every single day. Whether I'm, like I said, I'm a head coach, I see everything, but I naturally just gravitate to the defensive back position. And it's just great to see that those guys are really, really doing what they need to do to take care of business on the back end for sure.
And you're a head coach that, like you said, has so much experience and emphasis and just knowing the DB position. Fran Brown, same thing. So
Hmm.
again, looking at those parallels, you're a former Syracuse DB. He's a former DB coach. You're a former DB coach, and you guys are both head coaches, but have an emphasis on DBs. He works with the DBs in practice. I've seen him do it. What does that part mean to you? That you're a former DB, he's a former DB coach, you're a former DB coach. You're both head coaches with emphasis on the DBs.
Yeah, man, it's just, looking at that, and obviously, it makes you feel like maybe, dang, am I emulating this? But no, it's just kind of like, man, it's pretty ironic just to see that, especially here at Syracuse, and just what that looks like and how it's gonna, come out to be. But like you said, man, I always have, every time on the field, even being a head coach, just walking around, I just naturally just run over to those guys and just make sure I critique those techniques and do all those things, man. But It's just exciting to see, man, and I really really have a lot of respect for Coach Fran Brown and what he's doing with that program, and just the emphasis that he has on not just on that, but everything. From an NIL standpoint, making sure those guys are seeing from just the details that you can just see how the sidelines are. You can see the way they are in the locker room. You can see the way they are off the field. You can see everything that he's doing, and it's just great to see, man. I'm not afraid to say it, man. Why not? I would want to emulate something great like that because he's doing some great things, man. And I'm just, want to put my own touch on things, but seeing, the blueprint of what he's doing at my alma mater, man, it just gives me chills, and like I said, it excites me every day.
Darius Kelly here with us, Syracuse DB alum and Saguaro head football coach out in Arizona, his home state, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora joining us from the West Coast. We look at the DBs that are on the team right now. You played safety, so we look at Deuce Chestnut, who's been asked to move from corner to safety this season in his return to Syracuse. Deuce playing
Yeah.
free safety, and then Elijah Clark, Cinco Clark playing strong safety. We've seen Brahim Long Jr., Cornell Perry, as well as Barry Buxton, the third, as well at these safety positions. But what can you say about Elijah Clark and about big old Deuce Chestnut coming back to Syracuse?
Man, that was great to see. Deuce coming back, and I watched him a couple years ago, right? And his freshman year, I think he came in and did a lot of great things. But seeing him come back and being on the field, I see him get that big hit the other day on the sidelines. It was almost a targeting, but they called it off, and Coach Fran Brown was slapping him on the head, and excited to see that. Man, that was awesome to see. So. Having those guys back in the back end, because they know the landscape, right? They've been there at Syracuse, but I'm sure they feel the changes and feel the excitement in the building, and that obviously gravitated have them gravitate back to the program and do those things. So it's again, you can leave, go away, but I already know a lot of people who have gone away from Syracuse. It's still home, right? It's still going to be some place that's special, no matter whether or not you did great things there or not. It's still a special place. So, being able to see those guys come back home and make plays right away. I know it's awesome to see.
And then looking at the rover position, the star position, whatever you want to call it, in under Fran Brown with Elijah Robinson's defense, it's called the star. But that extra DB, that rover that kind of moves to different places, can kind of be a linebacker. Devin
Yep.
Grant is there. Jaden Gould has played there. We've seen Justin Barron play
Hmm. Yeah.
linebacker, play DB. I said that he was both. I mean, that was my mentality on it because he was playing that rover star position. Are we going
Hmm.
to see Justin Barron in the NFL?
I believe so. Who he reminds me of a little bit is the 49ers linebacker Mufasa. He moves around, similar. He can play coverage, come down, make tackles, do all those things. So that's kind of what he reminds me of. So I think he for sure will see him in the NFL, no question about it. Just because of how versatile he is, and he has the size, he can move. And obviously he has the smarts because you're not playing multiple positions without being a smart football player. I'm sorry, and it's just not happening. So he definitely has the football IQ to pick up any position and be able to pick up the NFL positions at a very high level. So I think for sure we'll definitely see him at the NFL level.
Yeah, we've seen some. And then at the corner position, we've seen Jaden Bellamy and Clarence Lewis. We've also seen Davian Kerr, a true freshman, return kicks
Hmm.
and be out there as a corner. Ivan McDaniels, Greg Delane. What can you say to the corners? Because Fran this season has really
Hmm.
tested his guys, genuinely
Hmm.
put them on an island and said, either he beats you or you get to him. So we know
Hmm.
that Fran does not shy away from making his DBs have to stop people alone. What do you think about
Hmm.
the Jaden Bellamy's, Clarence Lewis's, and company?
Man, dogs, dogs. You got to have that dog mentality at that corner position. You got to have that mentality of it's just me against you. And having that opportunity to do that. And what I would say to them is, come on, keep coming. And bring it to me. That's the mentality you got to have. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you out there at that position. It just doesn't happen. And you can do whatever it is or say whatever, but no one ever will feel sorry for you at that DB position. So just come on, keep coming, keep doing what they're doing, and continue to have that dog mentality and go after the things that they want and need. And having a coach behind them who's going to continue to coach them up at that position is even more. They can go ahead and play freely and do those things that they need to do because, for one, they know they're going to have a coach who understands. If they do make a mistake, who understands what it takes to be at that position. So just keep going, keep coming, and keep having that dog mentality, man. And it's going to come out, pay off, especially some of those young guys that are in that room.
I've seen Fran in drills, literally standing behind a guy with his hand on their back, talking to them throughout the drill, being in the drills, telling them what to, like, being with the DBs physically throughout each portion of it, telling guys when they do it right, telling guys when they do it wrong. You as a head coach, and like you said, with an emphasis on the DBs, having played DB and just really knowing that those positions really well, do you do the same thing? Will you get in to a piece of practice and do, because when I saw Fran do that, I was like, dang, I don't know if I've seen a Syracuse coach in recent history like get down
Hmm.
and dirty with the guys. Do you do the same thing?
Oh, no doubt. I'm so entrenched in that room, especially both safeties and corners, especially coming off their last year. And I was DB coach. I'm with those guys every single day. And walking through the techniques, slowly walking through it, and and this year too, man, I really had to get back to techniques, back to the basics, back to the first steps, back to the those little things that make up being a good DB. And it all starts in the first 1 or 2 steps. It all starts within that 3 yard box, that boxing match in between those that beginning stages of there, and those some of the things we talked about. Where you're stepping, where you're punching. Where are your eyes? Are your eyes down? Are they up? Are they watching the back foot? Are those little things that intel? For one, being a great corner, and again for two, being a great safety, you're just making sure your eyes in the right spot, taking your first 2 steps, your first read steps. You know, understanding alignments, understanding where they're trying to attack you down and distance. All those things. So I'm very very much entrenched in that defensive back room and showing those guys, for one, the what it takes to be a great DB, and for two, how to execute at a high level, and just making sure, for one, it starts with your eyes, your feet, and hands, and doing those things, make sure you're in the right positions.
And for you, Darius, moving from DB's coach at Saguaro to the head football coach this season, when you get to look at everything now, and like you said, you
Hmm.
know the DBs, but now watching your quarterbacks, your receivers, your tight ends, your running backs, your offensive line, your D line, your linebackers, your special teams, kickers, punters, long snappers, all that good stuff. How have you grown in your ability to oversee an entire team? And then, secondly, what you want to say about your staff and how freely you let them be.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's definitely been a growth thing, because it's just sometimes you get locked in again. Naturally gravitate to the DBs and naturally gravitate to the defensive side of the ball, but having that ability to really go in and sit in those offensive meetings, sit in and really get to know that side of the ball, get to know those guys on the really get to know the quarterbacks, really get to know the wide receivers, the O line guys, and every position on the field. It's just been great, and I think it's natural for me really too, because I'm just naturally I want to know everybody. I want to know everybody in the room. I want to know every coach. I want to know every player. So, for me, the transition was great. Because the relationships already had built on the other side of the ball, already had been there. And so it made it easy. To really just the relationship part was super easy. And getting to know that side of the ball though was a transition because my eyes naturally just gravitate and just want to keep my eyes on everything. But it's been great. It's awesome. I love having my hands and everything. I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but I like to see. I like to know what's going on. I like to know what's going on at all times. So it's been great for me. I try not to get overwhelmed, but it's awesome. To,
Darius,
to speak to my coaching staff, man. I have a great young staff. A lot of guys who either played in the NFL, either played in college, or been coaching high school football for 20 plus years and won multiple championships. And having those guys around, it definitely takes a load off my back a lot. You know, and I can lean on those guys very, very heavily at every single position. You know, even our special teams guys, you know, played at a high level, and coached at a high level. Our offensive coordinator, you know, he's played and coached at a high level. Our defense coordinator, he's been coaching high school football for over 20 plus years, and he definitely does a great job for us. And and so it's just I lean on those guys heavily every single day, and they take the load off, and they make sure this program is upheld, and they uphold the standards and the vision that I hold every single day too.
And I'm looking at your staff here with Darius Kelly on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Syracuse DB alum, as well as the head football coach at Saguaro High School out in Arizona. You have a staff. I mean, this looks like a college football staff. I mean, when we're
Yeah,
looking at the amount of guys that you have, too. So you got Frank Rubin as the assistant head coach, defensive run coordinator, BJ Denker, your offensive coordinator. We got Derek McClure, O line, Josh Morrow, D line, Keith Brigham,
yeah,
also on the D line, Jake Belpedio of special teams, Sean Potter, linebackers, and run coordinator, Terrence Miller for your running backs. You got Jonathan Castillo for strength and conditioning assistant, and college recruiting assistant as well. Stephen LaSalle, Patrick Jones for wide receivers, and then head athletic trainer Nikki May, Mike Ruggieri of the athletic trainer as well, and then Nguai Sabah of the kickers and equipment manager. I mean, I'm looking at the staff and I'm going,
yeah.
must be nice to be at Saguaro to have to have a big old staff. Just bring me into that. I mean, it seems like y'all got some resources.
Yeah, man. I would definitely say the resources are pretty high. And they take care of us at a very high level when it comes to making sure our staff is equipped. I mean, in every way. You know, even from we're a Nike elite school. We're one of 49 schools in all of the country who hold the Nike elite status. You know, so that's just like us, the John Bosco's, the Bishop Gorbins, and so we're up there with the level as far as that goes from our Nike elite status. So and from the staff standpoint, and to run a program, and to do the things that we've done in the past 20 years, it's you have to have that, and you have to have the support staff to do it. And we make sure those guys are around. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen, but obviously we had a down year this year, but in the past 20 years, they have ranked Saguaro, the number one school in all of think of Arizona, and up there as far as the nation goes, as far as winning goes in the past 20 years. So we're definitely an elite school. We're definitely an elite status. But it takes a village, and that's why you see all those men and women a part of our program to make sure those things are continue to be upheld.
Yeah, absolutely. So, shout out to the Sabercats for sure. Being a DB, playing DB in college, and I want you to look on the other side of it here. Obviously, the job of a defensive back is to not only guard and you play in safety and whatnot. You got to be able to be in different spaces at different times, help out in different areas in the run game as well as in the pass game. If you're playing against a really good quarterback, your job becomes more difficult. Kyle
Hmm.
McCord has led the nation at Syracuse in one season, has led the nation in yards. He has done an incredible job, 65% completion percentage. No one in Syracuse football history had
Mm.
4 straight games as a quarterback with at least 300 yards. Not Donovan McNabb, not Marvin Graves, not Don McPherson, not Eric Dungy, not Ryan Nassib. None of those guys, no one in the
Well,
history had 4 in a row of 300 or more passing yards. Kyle McCord did it in his first 4 games at Syracuse. He set the record not to 4, but he set it to 7 straight games with at least 300 yards. Then he had one game where he dipped just below, and then he turns around and goes back to 300 every game. After that, he sets up a string of games. He has almost 500 yards against UConn passing.
mhm.
What can you say as a former DB about Kyle McCord this season leading the nation in multiple categories as number one, being in the top 4, being above
Mhm.
the Cam Wards of Miami, the Jackson Darts of Ole Miss, the Shador Sanders of Colorado, the Carson Becks of Georgia, and so on, and the Dylan Gabriels of Oregon, knowing that he's been above them. and he's led in many categories, and he created Syracuse history, and he is now the single season passing leader for yards in a season of any Syracuse quarterback ever, passing Ryan Nassib, who had just shy of 4,000 yards, and Kyle McCord passed him now in just one season at Syracuse. What can you say as a former DB about Kyle McCord?
Man, I mean, he's a nightmare in the passing game. Now when looking at him every single week, if I was a defensive coordinator going against him, I would have a nightmare. Because there's um, so many holes you would have to cover up. Because he doesn't just target one receiver, and I think that's the best part about him. Multiple receivers every game are getting to different targets, and multiple people are getting those receptions. And you can't just block in on one guy. I can't remember his name, number 82 last week. He had a big game, and nobody knew who he was. You don't come into that game, covering him up, but he's having a big game. So you cover one guy up, you're gonna have to cover another, and
Yeah.
it's just he's a nightmare in the passing game. And I think for him, if he added just a little bit of running into his game, he's my worst nightmare as a defensive coordinator on the back end. So, he's doing amazing things. It's great to see, that passing game, flourish. And again, those guys are making the plays when their number is called, and it makes it easy for him. But he's doing amazing things, man. But he would definitely be a nightmare on the back end for me if I was going against him as a defense coordinator.
Well, not surprised with any of those words. I do want to hit this before we get into rapid fire. In this 2024 season, you had game themes. So you started off the season with a whiteout, then you had neon colors, USA colors, tropical night, blackout, tug night, which was the shamrock green, chap week, which was throwback jerseys, and then the cancer awareness wear pink week, and then the black and gold week, and then the camo week at the beginning of over at November 8th, your last game that you had in the regular season, the camo week. Bring me into, again, resources. You know what I mean? I mean, you got all these different jerseys and colors and whatnot. So I have two questions. What are your thoughts about having themes for every week, number one? And number two, as you can see, I've started to put jerseys up in the studio. You and I have been friends for many years. So am I going to get a Darius Kelly SU? Am I going to get a Saguaro? Am I going to get something to put up here since you have so many jersey choices? Do I get something Darius Kelly related?
Yeah, man, I got a couple of them laying around here. And you tell me which one you want. I got the Texas Bowl jersey. I got the my first year at Syracuse jersey. I got my last home game jersey. So you tell me which one you want. We'll make it happen.
Okay, fair enough. So, man, which one do I want? Do I want the Texas Bowl or do I want the last game, the last home game? One of those two. You pick.
Gotcha. I got you.
That's going to go right. You got to sign it, though. You got to write a message and sign it.
No, I got you.
Darius Kelly. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, yeah, I was just asking about all those different things, man. We do that. We got to keep it fun. At the end of the day, these kids are still kids, and we definitely want to involve all the community and everybody else involved with the student body. So it's just awesome for us to do that. We do that tug night, and I'll speak on this. Our tug night, the green. We had a equipment manager who was at Saguaro for many years, and he passed away. But we call that our legacy night, really. So the legacy he left on the Saguaro community, and he touched so many different lives across the Scottsdale community. At his funeral was standing room only. And a lot of people came out and showed their support for things that he did for them, both on and off the field. So we try to honor him, and we try to honor his legacy, and we call that our legacy night there at Saguaro. So it's a really big deal in our community, and Tug was definitely loved, and just someone that everybody cared about, and and definitely enjoyed his presence. So he's definitely with us every single day in our community for sure. So we honor him.
What's Tug's full name?
Tug, man, Tug's Mike, Tug, man.
Why did you know why they called him Tug?
I don't.
But
his last name.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So for Tug, to honor him, like you said, standing room only at his funeral and all of that. I mean, the love and the support. It sounds like this is something that's going to continue. He'll
Hmm.
continue to be honored every season.
Yeah, for sure. No question about it.
So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call, Darius Kelly and I are going to play a little bit of rapid fire and have some fun here this morning. We've done it for many years. We'll do it again. So you get the first question. What do you got, Darius?
Yeah, man. In these past 20 years, 21 years, what's been your best moment?
Every day. I get to wake up and do what I love. And, people that know me know that, I want to have a family. I want to have true love with the right woman. And obviously I want to have kids. And that's been a huge focus. And I think that focus has sometimes made me lose focus, that I am living a very rare life. And I was reminded of that recently, of how rare this is. Like, you wake up every day and, like, you're doing what you like, you're getting paid to do everything that you love. You're traveling because of your job, you're seeing the world because of your job. You're working with businesses and helping them and being creative with them and finding ways to reach out to people and do it differently than like screaming at people and asking them to buy stuff. You're actually trying to build relationships. And I mean, over 5,000 people have been on Wake Up Call. I've lost track at this point. I had a party. The people that were there, it was incredibly a blessing, just an incredible moment of realizing that God was putting a team around me this whole time when I thought I was doing it alone. And I mean, to get the messages that I've gotten, the support that I've gotten, people like yourself, I mean, I can't pick one moment in 21 years. I could say that I'm happy that every time I've wanted to do something to this day, I come up with an idea, and if I feel it, like deep inside of me, like if I truly feel that, I feel like I put my hand out and God grabs my hand and he's like, let's go.
Hmm.
Every time. And I've barely scratched the surface. I feel like I'm just getting out of college and starting. And so, I mean, to me, I have so many things I want to do. I have so many things beyond what people think that maybe I'm capable of. So, I mean, we got to 21 years, went by really fast, but my favorite part of it has been God's grace, the blessings from God, doing what I love and loving what I do, and meeting people that have changed my life for the better, I would say.
It's awesome.
My
I love it.
question back to you, Darius. If you had to host my show for a week, give me 5 guests that you would have on Wake Up Call.
Ooh, man. Okay. Um, let's go. Let's go. Dominic Knapp,
Okay.
Marvin Harrison, Dan,
You can have
and
me?
yourself.
Okay. All right.
um, McPherson
Okay.
and shoot, man. And I go Fran. I'd go Fran.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I included with those 4 gentlemen?
Man, because you're one of the greats, man. You've been a staple in that community and in this great world that you're in, and you've been awesome to me. You've been awesome to this community. You've been awesome in every single way. You bring such joy and just a lot of truth and a lot of light, to a field where, sometimes it's not really, the most honest and the most fair assessment when it comes to things, but you've always been fair. You've always been great. And you've always been upfront and, somebody that I can definitely call a friend of mine and somebody that if I ever need anything, I know I can pick up the phone call and call you. And, and it's just great to see, in the 21 years, and I think that I've known you going on 10 of those years, you haven't changed. You've just been a great man, a great person, with strong faith, and just bring so much light and greatness to what you're doing into this world. And so I truly, truly appreciate you and all that you've done. So I would for sure if I'm on your TV show, if on your show, Wake Up Call, Dan, there's no way in hell that Dan is not coming on there because of all the great things that you have done for me alone. And so it's just awesome to have you a part of my life for sure for these past 10 years, from Syracuse to now, and watching your journey and you being part of mine has truly been a blessing, no question about it.
Well, I don't know what to say to that other than I feel very grateful and thankful for that. Big words coming from a person whose opinion I respect. So you've always been good to me, and you are a light. You've always been a light to me. You've looked out to me. You've looked out for me. You've been there for me. I feel like you'd fight for me in rooms I'm not in, and that's true friendship. So, I have a lot of respect for you. I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for our friendship. You mean a lot to me, and your family does by default because they're your people. So, I can't say enough about you, honestly, and genuinely, I can't thank you enough for those words because they're very kind words. But to people that are watching and listening, they're coming from a good man, and so that holds a lot of weight. It holds a lot of weight with me. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Donovan, Marvin Harrison, Fran Brown, and Don McPherson. So I've talked to Donnie Mack, I've talked to Fran, I've talked to Donovan McNabb. So Marvin Harrison's the only one I haven't talked to. That would be cool to be in that room. I'd be like, all right,
Yeah.
fellas, we're gonna tell all of it. Give me all the dirty. Come on, Donovan. What Marvin do that he wasn't supposed to do? So, I'd be like, all right, Marvin, it's time to get your son off of the and I'm sorry, but those Cardinals, they need some help. They need some those Arizona. I know we're talking and you're in Arizona,
Yeah, man. I can't say
but
too much.
but I'm just saying, get it together, Kyler Murray. Get that ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. So, man, thank you. Those really kind words. What's your next question for me?
Oh man. Um, Shoot. You know, when are you coming back out to Arizona?
Oh man,
Because we gotta
soon.
we gotta link up, man. When are we gonna see? It's been over 10 years since I seen you in person.
It's true.
This always been over the mic, over the computer, but we gotta link up. I gotta get up to either Syracuse. It's been about 7 years since I've been out that way. So it's a little I put some of that on me, but we gotta make sure we link up, man, soon enough next time we get a chance to get a break from what we're doing. Because
Yeah.
it's been too long for sure.
No, I agree. And because I am an avid Arizona Diamondback fan, I will be out there by the grace of God this coming season. I need to get out there. So I would like to go out and see spring training, honestly. But
It's the best time of the year.
yeah, so I would say that hopefully, God willing, you will see me soon, sooner than later, because I want to go back out to Arizona. My dad loved it out there. My mom likes it out there. She visited her friend a couple times, so she wants to go back. Dad wants to go back. I want to go back. So we will be in Arizona hopefully soon, and
Yeah.
I will absolutely let you know ahead of time. But because I need to work on them Diamondbacks, they've let me do a couple interviews, but this past year they weren't really letting me do some things that I wanted to do. So I guess they didn't think I did enough baseball, but I talk about baseball every week pretty much. So I'm going to have to reach out to them in the off season. And you know the type of guy I am. If you say no to me, I will fly across the country to get a yes.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so I'll be in Arizona to see you and hopefully get to see my Diamondbacks soon.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping that they have a better year this year. They came off a big one the year before, but hopefully this coming year will be a lot better for them. But um, it's always a great atmosphere when they're good in this area. Even with the Cardinals, even with the Suns, when they're winning, it's just everything just seems like it's thriving in this city. So it's definitely a sports town. You got ASU, they're doing some good things around here as well.
Yeah.
The Arizona sports, it's great when we're great. So it'll be awesome to see the Diamondbacks get back to it.
Yeah. And let the record state that I picked Arizona State to beat BYU this season. That's right. So,
Ooh,
and they
that's a
did.
that's a good one.
And they
That's a
did.
good one.
Them Sun
Hmm.
Devils going to work. So, my last question for you: what are you most grateful for in your life?
Yeah, I'm grateful for a lot of different things, man. I'm grateful, for one. just having life, health, and strength on a daily basis, and be able to wake up and and share the love that I have for everyone around me and my family. For two, I'm grateful for my family, my son, and all the great people around me. But for sure, my son and all the things that the joy that he brings in my life. And then, for two, there's the position that I'm in right now. For three, the position that I'm in right now, to be able to touch so many different lives, to be at the head of a great program and being able to, grab a hold of this person and being able to touch this person, even if they're not playing football, and be able to shine a light on this community. I'm just so grateful for that, for those things, man, and being able to wake up every day and for one, just, having God in my life is huge, and then again, my son, my family, and just being able to have that ability to touch so many different people's lives on a daily basis, man. It's just great to have that ability and the position that I'm in. I don't take it for granted, and I'm just extremely grateful for those things because, just one step away from not having that. So I'm super thankful for that every single day.
Important for people to know one step, one choice, one decision can change everything. So it is important to remember that the little things are the big things. With that being
Hmm.
said, Darius Kelly, Syracuse DB alum, Saguaro head football coach for their high school out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and in the state of my favorite baseball team ever, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Fastest team to the World Series and winning the World Series. Did it over my dad's Yankees back in 2001. First time I got to ever see any of my teams win a championship. Since then, I've been well spoiled. So, speaking of being spoiled, spoiled to share the picture in picture here with you around the country and the world on Wake Up Call with Darius Kelly, the better half of this screen right now. So, Darius, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for all of your positive words and the actual actions behind it, which are extremely important. I'm holding you to the fact that I'm going to have one of your jerseys in my studio now, and I so pick the one that you're willing to part with. But I definitely cannot thank you enough for our friendship, and I take all, like I said, I take all those words to heart, and you've been there from the beginning, and you've said things to me. I mean, I remember when we did a live show together, and I said thanks for coming out, and you're like, are you kidding me? You're like, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me. Like, of course I'd come out to be here with you. And I was sitting there like, I'm so thankful that you said yes. And you're like, no, man, thanks for asking. And you've always been good to me. So I appreciate that. I appreciate our friendship and the bond. And I appreciate the fact that, God helped us cross paths and become friends, because I do blame God fully for the fact that you're in my life. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Likewise, man. Likewise. And I appreciate you greatly, greatly.